Well, hello, team. CIST117. As I promised you before, I'm going to answer this question. I was supposed to do it way earlier than today, but I didn't have a chance actually. So here we go. I gave you this IP address and I asked you to subnet this network IP address into 5 networks. And then I said, for case 2, I want you to subnet it into a number of networks, which I don't know how many, but each network should have 12 hosts. And then for case number 3, I ask you to subnet the same network IP address into 3 networks, but this time every single network will have a different number of devices. So we got 60, we got 5, and we got 2. So I'm going to answer this question case by case, and we'll see how is that going to go. So first of all, we do have this network IP address, and we have this case. What I'm going to do, I'm going to copy it from here, and I'm going to move to Paint. I'm going to put it here. So here we go. This is my case that I'm supposed to cover. As we said before, whenever you have a problem like that, you need to find out where will be the line that will separate the network portion from the host portion. Now, as I said before, this prefix is the key here to find out that line. Since this is 225, I know for sure the subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255 dot something. This something here, I'm going to put it in binary. So since this is 25, I know I got 4 multiplied by 8 here for this 8 and this 8 and this 8 in binary. That each one of them will give me 255 in decimal. So what I need to do after that is to look at the remaining. Since the result of 4 multiplied by 8 is 24, and since I have 25, that I know for sure now, this section of the subnet mask is going to be 1 followed by 7 zeros. Okay, so since I know that part, let me just go down here and put it as following: 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Now let's look at the network address by itself. It's 192.168 100 and 0. Now, since this is 255, it's 255, 255, 255, I know for sure those 3 numbers here are not going to be changed. The only change is going to be applied to this part when it comes to creating those network IP addresses. So what I need to do, I need to come here and put, I know for sure, as I said, what's before this decimal point will not change. We're just going to be playing with whatever after the decimal point to the right. Since I have 0 here, I will have 8 zeros here. Okay, now we said the line originally that we have for our network that's going to separate this network IP address to the host portion, and this is going to be the network portion. Now we said whenever you have a case where you're supposed to subnet a network depending on a number of networks, we said we had to ask this question: how many bits do I have to borrow from the host portion to the network portion? And to answer that question, we said we have an equation. It's called 2 to the power of h. So should be, I'll just not call it h. I will call it borrowed bits, for example. Should be greater or equal the number of networks that I need, which is 5. So we will start with the first number here. If we borrow 1 bit, that's going to be 2 to the power of 1, which is basically going to be 2. 2 is not greater than 5, so that's not enough. And then we're going to have to add another bit, which in this case is going to be 2. 2 to the power of 2 is 4. 4 is still not greater than 5, so that's not the case. Now we need to borrow a third one. Now since 2 to the power of 3 is 8, and 8 is greater than 5, then I know for sure now that I need to borrow 3 bits. And since that's the case, I will have a new line that will separate the network portion from the host portion, and I'm going to borrow these 3 bits to the network portion. Now, I will have 8 different networks, again, because we said the possible network you can create is basically 2 to the power of the number of bits you're borrowing, and since I have 3, I will have 8. I just need 5 of them. So here we go. I'm going to create those 5 using this area here. So let me just go ahead and write it in this area. So I got 0, then 0, 0, 0, and then we got another 4 zeros. And then we have those 2 lines. This one was the original line, and now this is the new line. All I'm going to be working here between those with those 3 bits. So we said the first one is going to be 000, the second one is going to be 001, the third one is going to be 010, and the fourth one is going to be 011, and the fifth one could be 100. As I told you, you can use any of those 8s. I'm just going to go with the first 5, sorry. Now, since this is my network IP address, what I can do now, let me just clear this area here. And I'm going to start typing. So I'm going to start here in this area here. Let's start with network 1. Network 1 is going to be basically, as I said, 192, no change, 168, no change, 100, no change, and 0, no change. The only difference here is going to be, instead of prefix of 25, I'm going to add 3 to that, so it's going to be 28. Network 2, that's going to be 192, 168, 100, and then this here is my network 2, this part here that I'm highlighting here. I can highlight it actually. So it's basically going to be 16, I believe. 16 and 28 again. Why is it 16? Because, let me just do that so you will understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this network here. So if you put the 0 here, and you put all the other zeros, and you convert that into a decimal, you get 16, because 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. Okay, so let's move on to the third one. The third one, let's put it here. Oops. Come on. This is going to be network 3, 192, 168, 132. And the prefix is going to be the same, 28. Now finally, wait a minute, I have 5. Now finally, network 4, 192, 168, 100, and that will be 32 plus 16. That's 48. And then again, 28. And finally, network 5 will be the last one, which is basically 62. Yep, 64, sorry. So 192, 168, dot 100, dot 64, and the prefix is 28. Now, if I want to find out, let's go ahead and do the calculation. For the first available IP address in this area, this is going to be 1. The last available IP address for this area is going to be, the broadcast is going to be 15, and the last available IP address is going to be 14. Remember here, everything else is going to be the same. Now for this one, first available IP address, 17, the broadcast, 31, the last available IP address, 30. Same thing for the rest of it. This is going to be 33 for the first available IP address, 47 for the broadcast, 46 for the last available IP address. Now for this part, 49, the first available IP address, 63, that's a broadcast, 62, the last available IP address. This part here is going to be 65, the first available IP address. Now, for the broadcast of this IP address, I just need to go back to the binary representation here. We said the broadcast basically is going to be the same available IP address. You just have to flip all these zeros that I have here to 1, and if that's the case, I got here 16 plus 64. So if you put that together, my brain is frozen, I can't think clear. 7, 6 plus 4, 0, you got 1 here, and then 2, 80? That doesn't, yeah, it should be 80. That's a broadcast. That's not possible. Let me do the math really, really quick. 64 and 16, 64 plus 16, yeah, 80. Well, why I'm having a hard time to understand this. This is 80. 24, then I think 79 will be the last available IP address, because again, if you just, this is the broadcast. So the second available IP address for the network is going to be flipping this to 1 and putting all the others to 0. So it's basically 64 plus 32. And this is 7, and this is 87. No. I think I made a mistake. Let me just fix this really quick. Delete that part. Let's start here. Delete this part. Delete this part. Delete this part. Now here we go again. This is 64, so the first available IP address is going to be 65. Now the last available IP address is, let's just look here. My email address for the network is 0, 1, and then 2 zeros. That's a 64. And then we said we have 4 zeros here. Okay, so if I want to find the broadcast, it's going to be basically 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. Now let me just go ahead and do that with the calculator since my brain is frozen today. So let's go back here, programmer, and we're talking about binary. So 1, 0, 0. Is that binary? No, yes, it is. And then 1, 1, 1, 1. Now show me that in decimal. 97. Yep, I don't know where is that 80 comes from. So it's 97. That's the broadcast message. Okay, so 79. 79, that's a broadcast message, and then 78, that will be the last available IP address. And that's basically what you need to know. Now, in addition to that, you need to know that the maximum number of devices you can have in each network is 2 to the power of those number of bits, which is 4. The remain bits for the host portion minus 2. So that makes it 16 minus 2. That makes it 14. So basically, you can have 14 different devices in each one of those 5 networks. Now, this will be the end of the first case. Case number 2. Let me just copy case number 2. And let me copy this with it. I'm going to delete the first case, of course. Let me extend the view, take that out, put case 2 back again. And let's get... Now, as we said before, this is a different case or different scenario. I'm giving you the number of hosts that you need. We'll do the same thing here. I'm going to start straight to the point. I will get 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then need another 0. Now, I do have here as a subnet mask 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. The first thing we need to know is this is my original line that separates the host portion from the network portion. Now we have to ask this question. How many bits do I have to keep in the host portion to be able to get 12 different devices? Oh, this is going to be very similar to the first question that we had. So the equation we're going to use here is 2 to the power of that number, the number of bits we have to keep. So I'm going to say BK, bits to keep. Minus 2 should be greater or equal 12. Now, we start asking the same question, but this time we count from right. If I keep 1, that's going to make it 0, not acceptable. 2 to the power of 2, 4 minus 2, 2, that's not acceptable. If I have 3, 2 to the power of 3 is 8, minus 2, that's 6, not acceptable. If I have 4, 2 to the power of 4 is 16, 16 minus 2 is 14, and that's acceptable. So now my new line is basically going to be here. Oh, that's an ugly line. Let me just do it again. And here you go. Now, since I'm keeping 4 bits here, that basically means I have 3 bits that I can actually give it to the network portion. And because I have 3 bits, I know that I can have 8 different networks. This is a case where you have to show me those 8 networks. Okay? Now, 8 networks, every single network will have 14 different hosts because, again, 2 to the power of that number of 4 minus 2, that will give you 14. Every single network will have 14 different hosts, and the networks are going to be as following. And let me just do it really quick without actually going through the first and the last available IP address. So we will have 8 different networks. And you know what? I believe I need actually to use the space before I get to that point. So let me just do it here in this area. I'm going to take this out. And I'm going to use the rest of the space to get the job done. So let's start here. Dot, let me go black here. So I got 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 4 zeros. And remember here, we got 2 lines. This is the original line, this is the new line, and this is the area where I can play with. So I'm going to have 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. I need extra space here. And then 1, 1, 0, and then 1, 1, 1. And then you count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different networks. Now your job is to tell me those networks. As I said before, this is for practicing, and when it comes to the exam, I'm not going to give you something that long. I'm not saying complicated, I was just saying that long. So I got network 1, network 2, network 3, network 4, network 5, network 6, network 7, and network 8. Okay, let me go back here. I know for sure all of them will have the same 192, 168, 100 dot something. So let me just copy that. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, and Control V. Now this is the part where we're going to have to calculate this. So this is going to be 0, prefix of 28, just like before. This is going to be 16, 28. This is going to be 32, 28. This is going to be, we said, you add those together, you get 48 slash 28. And this is going to be 64. Yep, 64, 28. Now we got to this part here, and I think that's the part where we add. This is supposed to be 80, I believe. 28. Why is it 80? If you convert this to, remember here, there's zeros here and there's a 0 here. This is altogether 80, because it's 64 plus 16. And now this is going to be 96, which is 28. 96 basically is this one, because 64 plus 32, 64, 32, 96. And then finally, we have those three together. I need to go and use a calculator here. So let me just go ahead and do that again. So it's 111 and then 4 zeros. And if you go to decimal point, 1/12. So it's 1/12. And let's go down here. 112 and 28. Now again, if you want to, I believe it's easy for you to now to tell me what is the first broadcast and last, first broadcast last. If you put them that way, it will be very easy. Let me show you that really quick. The only part that you need to do some extra work is the last one, of course. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that really quick here. This is going to be first available. This is going to be the broadcast, and 14 is going to be the last. 17, the first available. 31 is the broadcast. 30 is the last. 33 is the first available. 47, the broadcast. 46 is the last. 48, 49 is the first one. 63 is the broadcast. 62 is the last. And so on. So let me jump here to this one. 113 is the first available. Now the broadcast basically means you have to flip all these to be ones. And I believe this is 127. Yes, 127. That basically 126 is the last. Let me just make sure that this is 127. So let me get that out. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And 127. And here we go. So that's the end of the second part. Now the third part is the, I will say, the little bit more complicated one, which is case 3. Now let me copy this. And let me put it here. Oops, no, not you. Let me take this one away. So we got those three cases now. Just remember, I said you're going to treat each case as an independent case, and then from that independent case you move to the second case and so on. Let me just give you a little bit more details about that. So the first case here, we got the first network with the 60 different devices. Now if the order is not from the greatest to the smallest, you have to reorder them and start with the one with the greatest number of devices. So here we go again. Dot 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. My 4 zeros here. Now my original line is located here. And now I need to have 60 different devices. So the equation that we talked about before is 2 to the power of that number that we need to keep minus 2 should be greater or equal 60. Now this is a case where you have to go and check one by one. 1 is not enough, 2 is not enough, 3 is not enough, 4 is not enough, 5 is not enough because 2 to the power of 5 is 32. 32 minus 2 is 30. And we have to go to the fifth one. So 2 to the power of 5, oh wait a minute, 6, sorry. 2 to the power of 6 is 64, I believe, minus 2 is 62. So I believe this number here, 6-bit, is the number that we should go with. Now let's go ahead and just make sure that I didn't miscalculate anything. 2 to the power of 6 minus 2, of course, 62. So my number is right, 2 to the power of 6. With that being said, I can tell now that my new line is going to be here. So that basically is telling me that I can borrow 1 bit and 1 bit only and give it to the network portion to be able to create a network with 60 devices. So here's what we're going to do. For network 1, we're going to borrow 1 bit. And since I have 1 bit here, there's two possibilities. This could be 0 or could be 1. And I'm going to use the 0 here. So the network number 1 will be as following. It's going to be 192.168.100.0. But most importantly, this is going to be 26 instead of 25 because we took 1 bit and we put it there. I'm done with this part. Now, with that being said, you can come here and tell me the first available IP address is going to be 1. The last available IP address, remember, you have to flip all these to ones, and that will give you 63. That's going to be the broadcast. Wait a minute, not 63. My bad. You're going to have to flip all these ones, which basically, yes, 1, 1, 1, 6 ones. That's 63. Let me just make sure that that's the case. So we got 6 ones. And that's 63, yep. So the broadcast is going to be 63. And then there's going to be 62. This is a case where you cannot just add, just like we talked about, add the number of hosts to the first available so you get the broadcast. But this here will be the end of the first network. Now for network 2, what we said, we're going to use this network, but we're not just going to use this network as it is. We're going to take it a little bit further into the subnetting. And so what we're going to do, we're going to start with a new network IP address. This new network IP address is going to be this, 192.168.100. Dot. Now this is, since this is 1, this is basically 64. And then we will have 26 prefix. So this is my case here. I need, after this, to ignore everything I know about this part. Okay, don't look at it anymore. Okay, we have a new network IP address, and we're going to deal with the new IP address that we have here, which is, again, remember here, this is 64. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do the same thing I did previously. I'm going to come here and write it down. Now we know 192.168.100, no change is going to be applied there. So 192.168.100.60. Oh, sorry, not .64, my bad. We'll just keep it that way. Now let's go ahead and do what we did before. We got the dot 0, 1, because 64, remember, and then 0, 0, and then 4 zeros. And this here is my my network IP address here. Now what we said, we're going to subnet this further. So the first thing we're going to start, we're going to draw the new line that we have here, which is after the 1. And now I'm going to ask myself the same exact question. 2 to the power of number of bits to keep, minus 2 should always be greater or equal 5 in this case. So we're going to ask ourselves the same question here. If I borrow 1, not enough. 2 is not enough. 3 is actually enough, because 2 to the power of 3 is 8. 8 minus 2 is 6, and I have 5. So I need to keep 3 bits, and that basically means I have 3 different bits to lease or give to the network portion. Okay, so that gives me a lot of possible different networks, which is okay. For now, I'm going to start with the first one, and I'm going to use the first one. The first one that I'm going to use is 000. So when I'm going to come here, I'm going to put 64. Remember here, this is my network that I'm using right now. So it's 64. But most importantly, the prefix is going to be 29 instead of 26 because I'm adding 3 different bits to it. Now remember here, this is the first network I'm using. And let's go ahead and put some numbers here. So this is going to be 65 for the first available IP address. The broadcast is basically going to be flipping those ones to zeros to ones. So I'm going to get 01000111. Now this is 64. I'm just going to do the math here really quick. And when you flip those 3 to ones, you're going to get 7. Remember here, 1 plus 2 plus 4, 7. So you put this with this, you're going to get 11 and 71. So this is going to be 71, which is my broadcast. And that basically means 70 is going to be the last available IP address. And here we go. I am done with network number 2. Now network number 3, this is what we're going to do. Since we used the first available IP address, which is 000 for network number 2, I'm going to use the second one for network number 2. For number 3. So this is going to be 01, just like before. This is going to be 00, and this is going to be 1, and this is going to be 000. This is what I'm going to be using for network 3. Now remember here, I'm not using it as it is. I have to go and do the subnetting and see if that's possible or not. Sometimes, believe me, if this number, for example, was, well, 5 should be okay, not 6. Yep, it should be okay. I should be able to use this network with no problems. So remember, this is my network address that I'm going to be using right now. So what I need to do here, I need to clear some space. This is going to be gone away. I don't need this anymore. I don't need this anymore. I don't need this anymore. All I need to know now is what is this IP address. Now remember here, let's just put it here. It's going to be 192.168.100. Now this part here, I need to put it in decimal, and that case is going to be, let me go back to my calculator. So I'm going to have 1001, oh sorry, it has to be a binary. 1001 and then 3 zeros. 3. Now if I put in decimal, this is of course 72 because the broadcast was 71 before. So this is going to be 72. Let's go back and type it here, 72, and the subnet mask is 29 as before. Now, just like we did before, we're going to have to use this IP address and answer it and use it to answer this case here, which is 2 devices. Now remember here, I have 3 bits here that I can work with. So since I have 2 devices, that basically means if I want to apply it to the same equation, numbers of bits to keep, not minus 2 should be greater or equal 2 in this case. Now, here's the deal. If I use 1, 1 is not enough. If I go 2, I'll get 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. So yes, 2 will be more than enough. Actually, it's going to be enough exactly. So since I can keep 2, that basically means I have 1 left to give to the network portion. So with that being said, I can tell now this line is going to be away and this line is going to be, I'll keep this line just to tell you that this is the bit that I'm going to actually give to the network. Okay, so with that being said, this bit here could be 0, could be 1. I'm going to go with 0. The 1, I'm going to keep it away. Now I just need to put the IP address in this case. And again, look at this IP address. Since I'm not changing this to 1, I'm using the 0, it's going to be exactly 72. So if you do the, go to this black again, 192.168. 100.72. The prefix, since I am borrowing or I'm giving one bit to the network portion, instead of 29 is going to be 30 in this case. Now, since I got 30, I can tell now I only have 2 bits that I can play with. The first available IP address is going to be 73. The last available IP address, okay, actually the broadcast is going to be 72 plus 3, 75. And then the last available IP is 74. All of that is coming from the part that I know that for the first available IP address, there's going to be 1. For the broadcast, there's going to be 1. For the last available IP address, there's going to be 1, 0. Okay, so let me just go back and put those as 0, 0s. And that will be the end of this case. So you can see here that I started with the first IP address that's given to me here, with the first network that I have here. Once I'm done with this network, I put it on the side and I use the second available network IP address as a starting of a new subnetting. So you take that IP address, you subnet it further for the 5 devices, and then you move to the second case. The second available IP address from this networking subnetting, you use it to perform the subnetting, and you keep going that way until it's done. I hope this is easy to follow and to understand. We'll have a further discussion when I see you guys next class. So thank you for watching and have a good day.